today we're going to talk a little bit about the coronavirus, see as it's a hot topic at the moment and it's something that affects everyone or almost everybody around the world. So, first of all, I would like to ask you, how has coronavirus affected you personally?
Yes, coronavirus has affected, I think, to everybody.
Yeah,
But in my case, my life is more or less the same. The only thing is that I am in charge of the sales department of a company, and I am working. And my work is related to traveling around the world to
yeah,
different countries. And for me, it's difficult now to travel by flight. And now I am changing the habit to communicate with other customers and
yeah.
people in general. You know?
So you've had to change the way that you communicate, is what you said. Yeah, you have to change the way that you communicate with people. For example, instead of catching a flight to another country, what do you do instead? What do you do?
Yes, I am traveling by car. If, for example, I go to France or Germany or Portugal, they are countries not very far to
Mm-hmm.
Spain. I am going driving, but in some countries it's difficult because there are quarantines. If
Yeah.
you if you if you go to the particular country, you have to stay 10 days in the
Quarantine.
hotel or something like that, and
Yeah.
it's difficult. It's
And
difficult
it's a long
situation to.
drive, isn't it? It's a long drive if you drive to Germany, for example. How many hours to Germany?
Yes, it is a long drive, but sometimes I organize a travel to go to different countries. For example, I can go to France 2 days, and next 2 or 3 days I can go to Germany.
Okay, so
But
you organize the journey, yeah? You organize
yes,
the journey from Spain to maybe the north of Spain to France, then to Germany. So you do it all together to save time.
yes. But if I can do my job uh, by by internet, by video conference, for me is good, because if not, it's like you say, it's a difficult, it's a long journey.
Yeah,
It's not
exactly.
it's not it's not it's not comfortable.
Yeah, because at the beginning of the coronavirus, when we all had to go into quarantine, we couldn't leave our houses. So there was no way that you could even drive to Germany or to France. So what happened in that moment? How did you communicate with your customers? Were your customers happy, or did they not happy, or did they understand the situation?
Yes, customer understand very well the situation, because this is a pandemic worldwide, and we are looking at watching the news
Yeah.
every day, and we can check that it is a big problem to all the business and all the population in general.
Yeah, for all the people, for everybody, yeah, in general, exactly.
Yes.
So it's
And my customers are aware of this situation.
Yeah, so it's understandable. I think when everybody or when somebody is passing through the same situation as you, it's easier for them to understand. Maybe if they weren't living the same situation, then maybe they would be like, oh, why can't you do this? Why can't you do this? But when people are living the same situation, they have more compassion.
Yeah,
They
they understand more the situation. Yes. For example, my company manufacture machinery, and with the coronavirus situation, we have had some delays with the delivery of spare parts, and we have had people that who they don't come to the work, and it has been difficult because I had delays with our customers too. Yes, but it has been more or less understand by them.
Yeah, understood. Yeah,
Understood by them. Yes.
Exactly. So another question I have here is, what happened when Pedro Sanchez decided on total lockdown in March? Like, how did the Spanish people need to behave? What were the consequences? Did everything close? And what was open? What could you do? What couldn't you do?
Pedro Sanchez stayed alarm state.
Yeah, declared. He declared a state of alarm.
Yes, and all the people, everybody, have to be at home. We cannot go out, and we can go out only to buy to the supermarket, for example, or go out with our pets, but always close to your house, not in other town or other city.
If you had a dog, you were lucky. Yeah, if you had a dog, you were lucky because you could go out for a walk with your dog. But if you didn't have a dog, there was a period of time that you couldn't go out, or you could only go out to the supermarket, to the hospital, or to the pharmacy, to the chemist. Yeah, and that's it. So there's many people that didn't have contact with other people for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, it was a crazy situation because we were a lot of time in our houses with our children, and doing like a teacher with them.
Yeah.
And it was difficult, very difficult.
Do you think it was a good decision by the government to close everything? Because if we compare to England, for example, at the beginning, England didn't close everything. For example, they kept open some shops. They kept open a lot of things. So even though it was quarantine, the places were still open, so the people went anyway. Whereas in Spain, everything was closed except the supermarkets and the pharmacy. So the people had no reason to go out. And if we went out onto the street in Spain, then you would get fined. At one point, I saw soldiers walking around, soldiers and policemen in the street.
Yes, I think it was an emergency situation because the big problem in Spain was that the hospitals were full, and the problem is that not only to the coronavirus, if you, for example, could 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 have a disease or you get sick, you cannot go, you couldn't go to the hospitals because they were full. They were
Overbooked.
overbooked. Yes, sorry.
Overbooked, exactly. Yeah.
And I think it was an emergency situation because the coronavirus cases are growing with a high speed. It was accelerating very fast.
Yeah. So do you think it was the correct decision for Pedro Sanchez to be so extreme, or do you think it could have been maybe less extreme?
No, I think it was necessary. It was necessary to stop the country.
Yeah.
Because yes,
I agree with you on that.
Because I remember that even with all the people at home, with a lockdown to everybody, the hospitals are very overbooking.
Yeah, they were full. It was. Yeah, I agree. I think it was the correct.
I think the first thing in the lives of the people is the health. If the health is okay, we can speak or we can talk about other things.
Yeah. So, how did you spend your time during quarantine? Because at the beginning, you said, excuse me, you said that everything was more or less the same except from work. So, do you have a sociable life, or are you inside all the time like me? How did you spend your time in quarantine?
I have to say that for me, quarantine was an opportunity because I am always traveling all over the world with for my job, and I have small children, and this quarantine I have been all the time with my children during 3 weeks, and for me it has been a good experience, and I was lucky because my company doesn't close in this time. Didn't close in this time because we are working or we work in the food sector, and it is a sector which cannot stop.
Necessary, absolutely necessary.
Yes, and in the mornings I could work by internet, and my wife helped me with the children, and in the evening we did a routine with sport in the terrace terrace, doing a sport or playing football,
Yeah.
watching films, a lot of entertainment.
Yeah, so it's a lot of quality time together, yeah, as a family. I mean,
Yes, yes,
you were very lucky that your business, uh, it wasn't a bad experience for you, so you were able to take full advantage of the time and the
yes,
quality time together, which is really good. I think most people did more sports and more exercise during quarantine than they've ever done in their life. More exercise during quarantine than when they were able to go outside, because people had more
yeah.
free time to
I remember that I was looking for weight because I practice or I do fitness
yeah,
at the gym, and I thought that I could buy this weight in
yeah.
order to do sport at home. But the stock in all the companies by internet, the stock was finished.
Yeah, sold out.
Uh,
Sold out.
yeah, sold out. Yes.
Exactly. I remember looking for indoor bicycle, all sold out. Boxing bags sold out. Everything. And then as it progressed, when it got closer to May, June, or May, people started buying swimming pools. And then because they couldn't go in their community swimming pools, or they could only go in their garden, the people started buying swimming pools, and swimming pools sold out. Yeah, it was crazy, crazy time.
Yeah, yeah.
And
And finally, I had to manufacture or to create weight with a water bottle, and I could do something.
yeah. And okay, so to finish with today, one last question. If you could go back in time to the beginning of March, just before quarantine, would you change anything that you did or didn't do?
Yes, I think government in Spain they weren't aware of the coronavirus situation
Mm-hmm.
at first, and they allow a lot of people in the street. For example, there was a big crowd of people
Yeah.
in Madrid. I remember with the woman.
Eight, the 8th of March, the women's what's it called? Women's Day or Women's Parade or
Yes,
something.
the
Yeah.
Women's Day, and for example, football match with the stadium with a lot of people,
Yeah.
and yes, they weren't aware of that, and if they, for example, if they were they had to stop this type of things. And I
If it
think,
happened again, now with
yeah,
experience, they would know, but they didn't know at the beginning. So
yes, yes.
that's what you think the government would change. But what would you change?
Uh,
Like, would you do things different? Would you do work different from home, or would you do different activities at home, or would you do exactly the same?
no, I would. same, no, because I was a good experience. But yes, if I had known it, for example, I could buy the something to do a sport, something like that. But
Okay, so yeah, so you would buy something to help you do sport at home.
yes, yes,
You could go back, but like we said
yeah,
before we never knew what was going to happen or how big the situation or anything. But yeah, if you could go back and change,
yes,
you would get something to help you do more sport.
yes.
Okay.
I didn't think that it lasts a lot of time.
Yeah,
I think it finished more early.
yeah. So you didn't think it would last as long as it did. Yeah, you
Yeah,
thought it was going to end earlier.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, me too. Okay.